Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Women Now. Thank you so much for joining us here today. It's an exciting day for us over here as we just had International Women's Day and we learned a lot about women, her accomplishments, her strength, her success, and we're going to talk to someone very special who's going to walk her through her journey of success. And finally, we're going to also talk to a woman in tech, which is very, very needed today in the Bay Area, in the land of technology and IT.
I was born in Frankfurt on June 12, 1929. Because we're Jewish, we immigrated to Holland in 1933. But Hitler invaded in May of 1940. So Father has arranged for us to go into hiding. He said it will be very difficult for us to live cut off from the outside world. I couldn't sleep tonight, even after Father tucked me in. I just feel so wicked sleeping in a warm bed when my friends, they're at the mercy of the cruelest people to ever walk the earth. And all because they're Jews. We assume that most of them have been murdered. The BBC says that they're being gassed. Perhaps that's the quickest way to die.
Leave!
No! It's a wonder I haven't abandoned all of my ideals. They seem so absurd and impractical. Yet I cling to them because I still believe, in spite of everything, that people are truly good at heart.
She's one of the nearly million Jews who are forced to flee their homes in Arab land from 1948 to 1970. In 1967, Gina and her family fled to Italy. In 1969, at the age of 21, Gina immigrated to San Francisco as a refugee with just $200 in and a trunk. She has dedicated the past 45 years to a cause of freedom and the defense of human rights. We are going to talk to Gina and find out more about her accomplishments today. Gina, welcome to Women Now.
Thank you for having me.
Such an honor to have you here with us today. Now, walk us a little bit through your journey and your accomplishments, then we'll get into more details about your perspective on women today.
Well, as you said, I was a victim of terror only because in many Arab countries, religious intolerance is something that we're all fighting against. And because I was Jewish, my family, when we tried to escape from Libya in 1967, our bus was almost burnt. The bus driver poured gasoline around the bus, and he was about to burn it when eventually we got help from two British Christian men who saved our lives, and it's a sort of, yeah. And when I made it to the United States, as you said, I did have only one trunk and $200, but I was extremely drawn towards helping others, and I became very involved in human rights, whether it was Argentina or Chile or anti-torture, and I became very involved in getting Jews out of the Soviet Union at the time.
Now, let me ask you this. You came to this country with $200. Then how did you find your ground? How did you establish yourself? How did you find your own identity? And you made it to being someone who had influence to change anything in the world.
First of all, I have to say I was very lucky because my own community, the Jewish Community Federation and the Jewish community, Jewish Family and Children's Services had so much experience in absorbing Jews from the Soviet Union, from the Holocaust, and I can go on and on. Jews are somehow always wandering the world. So I was lucky because they helped integrate me, and they gave me the moral and some financial support as well. And so I pretty much got on my feet much better and much easier than maybe a lot of other groups might have. That's why I always encourage people to, communities to seek out immigrants from their own ethnic group and really help them, because it really helps the person get integrated. And eventually I was recruited to work to get Jews out of the Soviet Union by the organization local organization, the Bay Area Council for Soviet Jews, and I found that my background as having been a victim myself and having had all of my human rights denied to me, that really caused me to be even more and more active in this area. So that's how I got started. And then I got arrested a few times for civil disobedience, although that was being arrested here, of course, is nothing like being arrested in Russia or other countries. But nonetheless, I did everything to bring the media to the attention of the media, the plights of prisoners, prisoners who were political prisoners, whether it was in Argentina or Chile or Soviet Union. So that became my calling.
Well, I commend your courage. I mean, you've been arrested a few times. I would say that, one time people get arrested, they'll be like, let me give that up for the time being. But you went on, and every change has so many hurdles to cross. What is your views on women today in the United States? How has that changed from the time that you first came with your 200 years? How do you think we have evolved as women with respect to our equality at work, our work-life balance, and so many other things that we juggle?
No.
What's your perspective and views on that?
First of all, I think that I wanted to share that women have basically three things in common. One is that we want to raise a strong and good family. We want a better world for our children and stop wars. And the third thing is that we have a bond that really, that we can empathize with each other and really understand each other's issues. I think it's very, very different that how men's minds work. Having said that, there's obviously known that United States and Canada and possibly England have, as far as the metric scale, so to speak, we are definitely at the higher level than, let's say, Asian women or certainly African women, Muslim women in North Africa and other parts of the world. We're definitely in a much better position. However, the struggle for equal pay and certainly the fact that the technology has not been really friendly to hire women, I think we still have a challenge ahead of us. And but I don't believe it's an insurmountable challenge. I think that as you said, we are able to juggle having a family, having a job. Basically, the woman has 3 jobs. The man has 1 job. He goes to work and he has that job. Yeah. But women, we have to have the job and then come home and raise a family and keep a home and still be able to prepare meals and so forth. But this government, I think, if there is one area that could really be helpful, for example, in France, they have a crèche, which is kind of like a kindergarten type, where you can actually drop your child and you don't have to pay so much money to support that.
Yeah, we are used to that back in India as well as
exactly.
So Gina, you've been the founder and the main inspiration behind Jimena, Jewish indigenous to Middle East and North Africa. Tell us something about the work, the incredible work that Jimena is doing in the US and all over the world.
Jimena is an organization that I founded because I wanted to tell the story about the Jewish people that were either expelled or forced to flee from all of the North African and Middle Eastern countries, a story that hardly anybody knows. Even the Jewish community, a lot of them don't know about it. Talk about intolerance, that a lot of the Muslim countries will not allow Jews or other minorities to live there. So we are now being actually, we are working with Copts and Christian groups to tell their story, because as the saying goes, after Saturday comes Sunday, and that has been a really important aspect of Jimena's work.
Well, your life as a refugee, I can't imagine waking up one day, not finding a roof above my head, no food, with hungry kids around me, not knowing how we can feed them. Now that life is incomprehensible by most of us, and that is something that you were pushed into just because you were a Jewish and you had no other problem. Now I want to walk us through the fact that from that life then to your life now, I mean, how you have understood the meaning, and how you're trying to give back to the community so that people don't have to live the life of a refugee.
There is, first of all, I think people need to understand that even Jews can be refugees. Somehow there is this concept that, Jews all over the world have a
very
productive,
peaceful life,
a peaceful and productive life, which they do, but nonetheless, we've been made refugees from Soviet Union recently, and also from the Arab countries. Today, especially women, we are very vulnerable in any case of war or any country that has a conflict. Women are always in the forefront of being the first victims, whether it's by rape or whether it's like in Sudan, where there is slavery, very active slavery, and some of the people who escaped slavery are living in horrible conditions in refugee camps. We have a situation with the Boko Haram abducting women. The Yazidi women in Iraq are an incredible example of how women are victimized. There have been 5,000 Yazidi women.
Constant struggle going on.
Exactly. So we have a situation where anywhere there is a conflict or a difficulty in any country, women seem to be the first victims. And that is the reason why I can really sympathize and empathize with refugees, wherever they are, whoever they are. How do refugees come, immigrants to this country, how do they get absorbed, hampered?
What's more shocking is the increasing number of refugees all over the world. We might think that we are developing and the number of refugees will come down through all the help and the aid that we are providing them. But for our viewers, I mean, it's important to understand there's increasing number of refugees all over the world, and there's something that we can do to help, like how Gina is helping solve a lot of refugee issues all around the world and improve their standard of living.
I was very curious to know that some of the policies in the United States that you would like to focus on that has been incorporated to better women rights or women issues, women conditions in this part of the world.
Immigrant or refugees, whether documented or undocumented, they're really hampered by several issues, and that's why their absorption is even harder. First of all, the fear of deportation plays a huge role in their psychology. The fact that they don't know the language, they're not familiar with the culture, depending which country they come from, if they've had a very poor schooling or no infrastructure, then they're pretty much lost at the beginning when they first arrive. And in many cases, when women, if they are immigrant in this case, and 50% of our immigration today, according to statistics, are women, then if there is a fear of deportation, whether it's the husband or the wife that gets deported, then you have a separation of family. And that, I'm really hoping that the United States, I'm not an immigration specialist, but I just hope that the policy will not separate families, because that could be really devastating. Whether the woman stays here or the husband goes back, either way it's very hard.
Since we just had International Women's Day and Women Now is also celebrating 5 years, I just wanted to say something about women in general. I feel women are the womb. Everything arises from women. They're already empowered. They're already strong. We are a lot stronger than a man. So I just feel that all women must accept that and understand that and believe in that. As long as you know that you're strong, you're able to fight anything that comes your way. And I don't necessarily feel there's something that we need to empower women. They're already empowered. But for the women to feel that is more important. And thank you so much for throwing your light. And I wish you all the luck, and I'm hoping our viewers will get in touch with you to help you in your journey, in your mission, and in your cause.
Thank you.
Thank you.